In Canada, Pierre Poilievre, who is going to be the Prime Minister of Canada, he's a tremendous politician, member of the Conservative Party in Canada. They're just awaiting a new election. But as a matter of morality and societal directionality, the direction needs to be directed toward family and away from radical sexual individualism as the ethos.
Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the Canadian Conservative Party right now. Well, a lot of people are saying he's going to be the guy that ultimately will replace Justin Trudeau. He was asked about how many genders there are, and I thought his answer was quite good.
Let's go back to D.C. right now. Obviously, on his first day on the job, President Trump signed an executive order, the U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as Prime Minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as Prime Minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
All right, so Poilievre doesn't have like the pure sort of like alpha television thing that Donald Trump has, but he does have something that's good, which is like a sensible brain, and he knows that there are two genders. And I love, I mentioned yesterday, I like when someone asks Trump a question, then he asks them a question back, because the implication is you're an idiot. And that's exactly what Poilievre did right there. Like, can you tell me more than two? And then, of course, the guy, well, there are people gender neutral, and it's like, that's not a gender.
Elon Musk seems to be a fan of yours. He tweeted a 100% emoji recently in response to a tweet that says, Pierre Poilievre is extremely impressive. He should be Canada's next leader. The sooner, the better. I'm wondering what you think of this, and do you accept his endorsement? In French and English, please.
Well, first of all, my 3-year-old had just told me that he wants to go to Mars. So I guess that Mr. Musk would be the right guy to put him in touch with. The fact is that it'd be nice if we could convince Mr. Musk to open some of his factories here in Canada, create some jobs, high-paying jobs for our people. I think Tesla, his company, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest automotive company in the world. Wouldn't it be nice if we were producing more without corporate welfare, without corporate subsidies like the Liberals favor? We had more of that production here in Canada. I think that would be fantastic. So if I ever get a chance to meet Mr. Musk, what I would say is, how do we make this an economy where we bring home hundreds of billions of dollars of investment to Canada so that our people get the paychecks? And why is it that after 9 years of NDP Liberals, it's Americans that are getting all the paychecks and all the growth? What is it that NDP Liberals have done wrong to drive these hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country? That is the question that all Canadians should be asking. And when I'm Prime Minister, there's going to be massive. This is the message that I have for the Americans, by the way. The days of us just handing over our businesses and our jobs because of our economic vandalism by this big, fat, money-hungry government in Ottawa are over. We're going to have a fierce, free market economy that competes with every country on earth.
Are you looking forward to working with Pierre Poilievre, the new guy?
I am. If that's what happens, certainly it would be very good. Our views would be more aligned, certainly. But we have a situation with Canada that's very interesting. People at first smiled when I mentioned the concept. We lose $200 billion a year. We subsidize Canada by $200 billion a year. Why are we doing that? There's no reason. We don't need their cars. We can make the cars here. In fact, it would be much better if we made the cars here. We shouldn't be making the cars here. We shouldn't be having cars made in Canada. We're the United States. We're not Canada. We have all the lumber in the world. All I have to do is free it up a little bit, and we have more lumber than they do. We have everything. We have all of the gas and oil and everything that you need in terms of energy. We have more than they do. We have everything. We don't need anything from God. Why are we subsidizing them to $200 billion?
I think you got their attention.
The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring.
Then Pierre told Radio Canada that he would cut our public service because Canada has far too many public servants. Yes, I can think of at least one who's been at the trough far too long.
Poilievre is the youngest candidate in Eastern Ontario. Despite his inexperience, he says he can unseat a cabinet minister.
The people in this community think it's time for a change.
Pierre Poilievre? Getting contact lenses is one thing, but this sociopath changed the way he says his name to get elected? Firing the people who do the actual work isn't the only idea he's taken from Trump.
There are only two genders, male and female.
Pierre?
What are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now. I'm aware of two.
Yes, personal decisions like if someone wants to be called he, she, they, them, F-U-P-P. And just yesterday, he covered this classic Trump tune.
We will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
We must deport from our country any temporary resident that is here on a permit or a visa that is carrying out violence or hate crimes on our soil.
You can't look that nerdy and still have to copy someone else's homework. Who knows what Pierre will reveal next, but if you really want to know what kind of prime minister he will be, all you need to do is look back at what he's already said.
The meaning of the term marriage ought to be preserved as a union between one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others.
When it comes to Pierre, we won't know what he thinks until Donald Trump tells him.
Following this guy for years, and he is the real deal. Canada desperately needs a lot more leaders like him, and so does the rest of the world. Alex Jones sharing his thoughts along with this video of Pollyev from earlier this year.
Justin Trudeau does not believe in liberty. He believes in government control. He wants to control your money. He wants to control your kids. He wants to control the economy.
The American president really appears to be switching loyalties from lifelong allies like Canada and the nations of NATO to unite himself with the autocratic nations of the world like Russia and North Korea. It's a distressing change to the world order, which is why we are going to spend today's episode on the importance of Canada and Canada choosing the right leader in their next election. As former guest Andrea Chalupa said, one of the best things we can do to protect American democracy against rising autocracy is to be actively supporting international democracies to make sure they remain stable as America flounders, to strengthen the alternative so it can act as a beacon in the dark, which is why we need to be paying attention to what's going on with our neighbors in the North. Not only because there is a real threat implied in Donald Trump's 51st state bullshit, but because Canadians could have an election as soon as this spring. And one of the leading candidates is a Musk-backed, Russian-supported candidate, much like Trump himself. If that man, Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, is allowed to be elected, I think we can consider Canada lost and another world democracy down. So this absolutely cannot be allowed to happen.